Gilded Age Season 3 was better than I could even imagine. But now, all I can think about is what will happen next in Season 4. Thankfully, the entire series is based on the real-life characters whom were extremely famous at the time. In other words, we know exactly what will happen to them next. So, let's talk about all the prominent Gilded Age characters, their real-life counterparts, and what can we expect next from their arcs. First, we need to talk about the Vanderbilts, who were basically the Kardashians of the era. So, I'm not surprised that they inspired a whole TV show centuries after their triumph. If you didn't know, they were the ultimate new money family, bursting into high society thanks to the fortune of Cornelius Vanderbilt, who was the railroad and shipping tycoon who went from working on his father's ferry to building one of the greatest fortunes in American history. His wealth was so massive, it literally rewrote the social map of New York. And in the Gilded Age, that rise to power is channeled perfectly into George and Bertha Russell. Yes, you heard it right. Vanderbilts inspired our beloved Russells. But if we're talking real-life inspiration for Bertha, we have to talk about Alva Vanderbilt Belmont herself, because she was the queen that transformed New York's elite single-handedly. She was born as Alva Erskine Smith in 1853 to a wealthy family in Alabama, and raised partly in New York and Paris. So, unlike Bertha, she had a family fortune as well, but not in the level of other New Yorkers at the time, which is why, despite her privileged position, she still got the new money treatment from the old families in New York. In 1875, she married William K. Vanderbilt, who was the grandson of Cornelius himself. From there, her adventure in New York began. In 1882, she and William spent $3 million, which is around $90 million today, building a French chateau-inspired mansion on Fifth Avenue, known as the Petit Chateau. And yet still, the Astors and other old money families still refuse to acknowledge them. I'm sure you remember the family's struggles in Season 1. So Alva came up with a plan that could have been pulled word for word from the Gilded Age. She threw an over-the-top masquerade ball for 1,200 guests in 1883, but pointedly refused to invite Caroline Astor's daughter, until Caroline Astor herself came calling. This bold power move forced the Astors to accept the Vanderbilts socially, which is a story that we now are familiar with thanks to the TV show. And yet, to no one's surprise, Alva's life didn't stop being dramatic after she broke into high society. Because when you have such a bold character, bold things keep happening to you. Now, we are entering into the spoiler territory, because we know that she divorced William, which was a huge scandal at the time. Now, in Season 3, we saw that George mentioned divorce as a potential future for the couple. But in real life, Alva was the one who asked for divorce, and the reason behind was his husband's adultery. There are also claims that her husband actually hired some actress to act as his mistress so that his wife would divorce her, which is crazy. Of course, we are not certain which storyline Gilded Age Season 4 will move on with. But personally, I wouldn't be surprised if George would get so sick of Bertha in the show that he would go as far as to hire a mistress for himself, just to convince her to get a divorce. It would be extremely heartbreaking, but wouldn't be so shocking. But let me know which storyline the show is likely to proceed with. Just a year after the divorce, Alva got married to another millionaire named Oliver Hazard Perry Belmont, who was actually a good friend to her ex, William Kissam Vanderbilt. Apparently, even though Oliver has been a family friend to Vanderbilts for a long time, the attraction between him and Alva became apparent after they took a yacht trip together, before Alva's divorce. I mean, if this is not a scandal, I don't know what is. But I can confidently say that a yacht trip is awaiting our beloved Bertha in the Gilded Age Season 4. That being said, I cannot think of any of George's friends as a potential candidate to become a new love interest to Bertha. Honestly, since I love George and Bertha together a lot, it is difficult to imagine them with other people for me. But let me know what you think. Do you have a potential candidate in mind for Bertha's new husband, or do you think we will meet with a brand new character in Season 4? By the way, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised to hear that Alva forced her daughter Consuelo into marrying a duke despite her protests in real life as well. In the show, we just watched this happening. And as of the end of Season 3, Gladys seemed fairly happy, or at least content with her situation despite her initial protests. That being said, we know that in real life, she eventually got a divorce from her loveless marriage after 2 decades and 2 children. And I think this is a pretty good clue on what will happen to Gladys in the future of the show. Because since the show won't last for multiple decades, it is likely that they will introduce her divorce process earlier than expected, perhaps even as early as Season 4. The good news is, in real life, her mother Alva was extremely supportive of Consuelo when she wanted to get a divorce. She actually testified, saying that the marriage took place because of her insistence, which led Consuelo to annul the marriage. Since Bertha and Gladys also started to see eye to eye in the show, I wouldn't be surprised if Bertha would be supportive of Gladys's divorce as well. Another important development that will likely take place in season 4 is the fact that Bertha will enter into the suffragette movement as a prominent leader. Yes, you heard it right. In real life, she used her opulent Newport home, Marble House, as a gathering place for suffrage events, serving tea on china that literally read, "Votes for Women." So, after her divorce, Bertha's story will take a much more feminist turn, and I cannot wait to watch it. But let me know if you are excited for this storyline as well. For more weekly updates, discussions, and analysis on the Gilded Age Season 4, make sure to like and follow. Meanwhile, the video on the screen might also interest you.